Another kind of neat, interesting thing going on is genetically modifying mosquitoes. So Matt, growing up in Canada, we had a lot of mosquitoes, and a lot of people joke that in Alberta it's the provincial bird. The
Yes.
mosquito. And I remember one time I broke down on the side of the road on Baseline Road in Sherwood Park with Mom, and we had to walk to the nearest gas station. And I remember there being thick black clouds of mosquitoes and just
Uh,
running through them, and you could feel them peltering your face as you ran through them. Do you still have bad mosquitoes like that in
You know
Edmonton?
what? Every year is different. Some years there's like flocks and hordes of mosquitoes that will just descend upon you and your children and just suck you dry. And then other years you hardly see any. It really depends on how wet the summer is. This summer wasn't too bad, but I gotta tell you, as an RV guy, and I love to take my motorhome out, my biggest pet peeve is mosquitoes. And I just love coming and visiting you down there in LA because you don't have the same mosquito problem we do. And, just that feeling of walking around in the dark at night, I'm always cringing because in Canada, that's mosquito season. Like you just head for home. Don't hang out at night when the sun's going down because
The
they're
mosquitoes.
lurking in the darkness, right?
Yes. Well, this is really cool. They actually genetically modified the species using a CRISPR technique.
Yeah.
And what they did was they were able to make hordes of these mosquitoes become infertile, and so they weren't able to reproduce. And it really brought down the amount of mosquitoes in the next batch for the next year. So it's exciting, but there's some negative consequences potentially. I mean, what eats mosquitoes, right? I mean, are we going to destroy a food chain there? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, that was my thought when you sent me the link and I started reading about this. So, first of all, I think it's great. I don't know if mosquitoes have any benefit to ecology other than feeding birds and bats and other predators. And I hope that if we do decide to eradicate mosquitoes, that would prevent malaria and other diseases that get sent around in mosquitoes. What was that one that was causing birth defects a while
Oh,
ago?
yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's
It
not
was
going to
all
get
in
tough.
Brazil and yeah, those types of things could be eradicated and hopefully there'll be less blood-sucking bugs that will sort of fill the niche of mosquitoes. But it does make me wonder a little bit, what would be the effects of eradicating this pest?
So how many people do you think die a year from malaria?
I wouldn't even begin to guess. Did you
Uh,
see any numbers?
yeah, almost 500,000 is what the estimate is. So 400,000 a year, and most of them are children under 5 years old. So I think it might be worth getting rid of a bat or two um, to save all those people that are potentially passing away from the pass on of malaria.
The one thing I saw that was fascinating about it is the way that CRISPR's was eradicating these mosquitoes is it was sterilizing them. It was basically creating the next generation after they reproduced sterile. And so in essentially one generation, which is literally
A
days or
summer.
weeks,
Yeah.
days or weeks with
Yeah,
mosquitoes, right?
sure.
You've wiped out that population. So it's fast. It's a little bit scary to think that we have that kind of control. But we've been doing CRISPRs for a while now, and we've been doing gene editing on plants for a long time. For example, most of the plants that we grow and eat are genetically modified in some way or another, either to be robust and prevent insects from eating them. They can handle hardier weather. They can grow a lot more wheat in a bushel. These are great things that genetically modifying is doing, but also these companies are protecting themselves by making that generation of whatever is being produced sterile. So you
Right. And
can't collect the seeds and do your own seeding the next year if you want this fabulous new genetically modified product.
And what you're talking about is quite controversial. I know people in Alberta love the canola plant, which I think is genetically modified, a GMO. But when I was living in Hawaii, people hated GMOs, and we would constantly have people protesting in the streets. because
Wow.
Monsanto or whatever it's called, that big company that does the
Monsetto? Yep.
GMOs, yeah, they were doing a bunch of testing out there in Hawaii. So I think you'll find people that are very pro, and I think the pro points you went over, it's more robust, bugs don't eat it as much, you get a higher crop yield. But then there are some people that are a little bit leery about eating a plant that's not natural. Could it cause potential side effects? Could companies go ahead and copyright the plant and say, you're not allowed to grow this, only we are? And would that create a monopoly? There's a lot of pros and cons to those sides. And, maybe with bugs and eliminating mosquitoes, we'd have certain corporations and companies profiting off of it and other farmers losing out. I don't know. There could be pros and cons to it too.